I bet I got you to click on this video with that clickbaity title and thumbnail, didn't I? Don't worry, the video is not dishonest clickbait. It is going to, in fact, be about what it says it's about, but it's not going to be nearly as vitriolic as you probably thought it would be, because I myself am a live stream, live response format, and debate bro streamer, okay? In fact, I would argue I'm one of the larger ones. I'm pretty up there, I'd say. At least as far as like this niche side of the internet goes. It's not exactly that much of a flex to be like a higher middle ground, like lefty debate streamer. I think I have like a fair enough amount of tenure in this space to say that I understand this type of format and this type of content enough that I can recognize the problems that it has, even though I make this type of content, and I can self-critique those problems and publicly acknowledge them. Now, the things that I'm pointing out are not meant to be like, oh, you guys gotta hold me accountable for this stuff, or like, oh, you guys gotta hold your favorite debate streamers accountable for this stuff. I'm not like subtweeting anybody, and I'm not specifically calling anybody out here. When I talk about these things, I'm talking purely my experience from my perspective doing this job. The hurdles that I've encountered, the temptations that I've felt to sacrifice my principles and put viewership and money over principles, like the cases where I've been tempted to do that. I really just want to sort of give a little bit of an insight to the broader public, what it's like to be a debate live content like React streamer, the problems with the format, and from the perspective of someone who does it. Because recently, Noah Samsen, a pretty large video essayist on BreadTube, put out a video criticizing Vaush and I and just generally the live debate format. The response to it hasn't been as positive as I think he would have preferred. In light of that, in my space, in Vaush's space, in the space of a lot of my friends, you've seen a lot of vitriol towards anybody who dares criticize this type of content, because it started to become a little bit of a red flag. When you hear somebody complain about debate bros, you almost start to think the next second they're going to start complaining about Vaush being against, like, killing all the white people or something, right? Like, you kind of get a little bit worried, like, what they mean when they say fuck debate bros. So I can understand that hesitancy, or hesitance. Trust me, I feel it as well. But I assure you, this is all coming from good faith, and this is all self-critique. This is not critique aimed at, like, any other figure online, okay? This is for me, okay? And if any of the figures that like also do what I do hear this video and relate to it, and they want to like think about it or something like that, that is fine, okay? If it applies to you, then it applies to you. But I'm not like trying to subtweet anybody here. If it seems that way, I promise I'm not. This is all like my feelings, my perspective, what I've felt and what I've experienced. So let's go ahead and get into it. I think it's important to self-criticize your own content, especially when you do anything in a live format, because when you do something live, well, you've just done it. If I want to make like a really cool line, or if I want to like make a joke or something like that and I fuck up the delivery, I fucked up the delivery. I fell flat on my fucking face. It's a live format. You have to be really good at improv, and you have to get everything right the first time, or at least right enough that you're happy with the content that you made, or you fucked up, because it was all live and everyone saw it. Everyone saw you fuck up, you know? And it is kind of, you know, a little bit of a downside. And so you need to be able to critique your content in order to make it better. This is how you get better at doing what I do. And this is how I get better at doing what I do. And getting better at it helps me avoid these problems and these mistakes. And that's why I think this type of self-critique on my end is so important. Thank you for the $5, Sister Rose. I'll get to that in a minute.
Has donated
so let's start. So let's start. Toxicity, all right? I will not deny that there is some level of toxicity in these like debate bro spaces, okay? However, it's not the type of toxicity that I feel like Noah Samsen and the people that he agrees with called out. The type of toxicity that I see quite regularly is a toxicity that stems from a desire to see blood, not a toxicity that stems from any like weird reactionary political opinions or like anything like that, but just the fact that you guys so often want to see blood often leads to the audience almost hypnotizing you in all of the clout and all of the positive support into pursuing somebody in perhaps a dishonest or, you know, a way that just isn't appropriate. You know, maybe just getting way too toxic because they just want to see blood. Yeah, blood for the blood gods, Haas slam. My chat does that all the time, right? I've had many cases where I'll try to have like a where I'll try to have a productive conversation with somebody because I think deep down they actually believe what they believe and they're an honest actor. But then people in my audience who don't know anywhere as much as I do about this person will sort of like assume this person's in bad faith, and they'll start demanding blood, and they'll get mad if they don't see it. That is a thing that happens in my audience. It's a thing that happens in other people's audience, I'm sure, as well. And when you're a streamer and you're live and you've got all these people in your chat telling you and giving you positive feedback for certain things and very negative feedback for other things, it can be very easy to fall into that. And that's where I get to this. Misunderstandings and prioritizing spicy drama over substantial politics. Doing this format does kind of incentivize misunderstandings. The original drama, the original spat that happened between me and Noah was based entirely on a misunderstanding. Now, granted, it was me misunderstanding him misunderstanding me, but regardless, it was misunderstanding nonetheless. And when I saw something that he'd tweeted that I didn't like, I immediately jumped on it, and I started getting very vitriolic because, well, probably because, one, I'd been sort of trained into doing this kind of thing by making this type of content and being in the space. And two, because, you get goaded along about it by your audience, like you guys were goading me along a lot, commenting down below and everything. And that's something that you can get caught up in, and, it can result in you pushing a little bit too hard against somebody when literally a simple conversation could work out the disagreement. These are like pretty broad criticisms, and they don't really apply solely to debate live stream format content. I find that, like, at least for me, and at least in some spaces that I've seen, these things do apply to it commonly. But now I want to get into some things that are a little bit more unique to the live stream debate response format that I do, okay? I want to get into some more unique aspects of it. And the big one is that you have less time and ability to research and polish your takes. If you're like a video essayist, you have, realistically infinite amount of time, however long amount of time you want to take, to make your video perfect, to do all the research you need to do, to make sure that all of the wording of your arguments are perfect. You have just so much time, editing, effort. There's so much you can do to make it so that regardless of how good you are at public speaking, your persona can still get that message across with editing and script writing, even if you're not good at public speaking, which is fine. Nobody should be like shamed for not being able to debate or not being able to like speak well publicly. I don't think that's like a morally wrong thing. However, if you do this live debate format stuff, you don't really have time to do all of that. Now, sometimes people say this as a compliment, like, oh, video essayists, they get to write their scripts and they get to like do multiple takes and do editing, but us live React streamers, we have to respond to it live. And that is true. There is definitely a level of difficulty in the way that like I respond to something that's unique to it. Obviously more work and labor and effort is probably put in on the part of a video essayist than me, but there's probably more work and effort put into my skill in debating for my content, like to kind of balance it out. But what I've noticed is that when you do live format, even if you're really good at it, you're still so much more limited than a video essayist is. Like, there's like right now, if I was a video essayist trying to prove this point, I could just bring up a million examples on the screen. I could just I could just do some research, write up a script, type out a few examples, and then just pop them up on the screen in editing. Maybe I'll have Cherry do that, who knows? But if I was a video essayist, I could do that, and it would be way easier to get my point across. But I have to say it to you guys. My voice and what I can show you in real time is all I can really use to support my arguments, which means I'm prone to making mistakes. I'm prone to forgetting important, things that I wanted to bring up that could support my argument. And, sometimes it means that my takes can be not as well researched as I'd like them to be. And people have called me out on that in the past, and I've had to brush up on whatever topic I misspoke on. It's a very common occurrence that can happen. And the reason why it's so common leads into the next couple of reasons. This format can encourage insane burnout. The live format leads to some weird clips of you getting made sometimes, and it can encourage lazy content that's just meant to push out fast videos. I'm gonna break this point into 3 different sections actually, but let's start with the first bit. The live format leads to a lot of bad clips of you. Basically, what I mean by that is when you stream yourself for like hours and hours and hours straight with no editing, with tons of people watching live every day, eventually you might misspeak, or eventually you might say something bad, or eventually you might say something that someone can edit into looking bad. Just eventually something's going to come out of your mouth that somebody can make look really bad. It's something that happens with live format. You can't predict it. You can't entirely stop it. It's going to happen one day if you do this format, and people on the right, if you're a left-wing streamer, will use these things against you. It is just the simple reality of doing this format. There is no level of good behavior you can engage in that will prevent this from happening. Nobody is perfect. We're all human, and it just fucking happens. Sometimes the live format leads to you saying stuff that results in clips getting made. Dishonest or not, it has a negative effect on you and on your reach and on the reach of the things you advocate for. The format also encourages insane burnout. Now, I know this may sound like this is something that affects the creator, but it also affects the movement that you're advocating for. If you're constantly burnt out when making content, then you're not making good content. You aren't doing a good job of representing your ideas. And well, maybe this doesn't apply to everybody, but at least for me, I don't make enough money that I can stream like twice a week. Like if I was just making the content that I thought would be the best possible content, I would probably like stream twice a week. That's about as often as stuff that I find that interesting occurs. Like maybe a few things a week, like a half a dozen things per week happen, right? So that could be 2-3 segment streams, right? However, unfortunately, I can't survive and make a living and do this as a job off of, 2 uploads a week, right? 2 streams a week and like a few uploads a week, right? That just isn't enough. So I am kind of forced to look for stuff that can sort of spread out the content, something to stream on that day. Sometimes it's video games. Sometimes it's reacting to other debates and giving advice to whoever is engaging the debate or just giving my thoughts. And sometimes it's drama. Or just lazy response content. Sometimes if I just don't know what to respond to one day, I'll just look at some of the larger right-wing channels and see who put out something new that looks interesting to respond to. And I won't know what to cover that day. I'll just do that. And my heart won't really be in it because I can't just not go to work today. Just because there's nothing interesting to me happening today doesn't mean I can't, I can just take the day off and not talk about anything. I gotta stream something, this is my job. And many days I do end up starting a stream, kind of just sort of phoning it in, like, fuck, I gotta cover something today or I can't, pay my bills. So I'll just cover this new Blair White video or whatever. Doesn't happen as often as I think I've made it out to be here, but it does happen. It does happen. Now, here's another one, okay? Now, this may sound a little bit positive, but it's a double-edged sword, okay? Now, this next one is a double-edged sword. Your ego can be inflated so much or utterly shredded. If you're a live debate streamer, basically everybody's opinion of you is more or less based on 2 different things, okay? Either it's based on your sense of humor. If you're funny, you'll be respected. Or your level of intelligence and debate skill. Or both. If you're funny enough, if you're funny enough, you don't have to be smart or good at debating. If you're smart and good at debating enough, you don't have to be funny. There's basically that's basically the trade-off that you get when you do this whole thing. You have to be one of those 2 things or both. If you start to do this thing and you start to get large and you start to do well at debates and everything like that, you're going to start to see your reputation affected by it. If you have a lot of bad debates, or if the debates that you do that are high profile are bad, they're going to give a very negative impression of you to a lot of people. And thus, you are going to end up, kind of having a really, really bad outlook on yourself. And it's going to be kind of unhealthy. And when your, mental health is unhealthy, you're not making the best content you can be making. And frankly, you're not doing the best advocacy for your political movement as you could be doing. And it's a pretty big problem. Another big part of it is your ego getting inflated. If you do really well and you're constantly winning debates and stuff like that, people are always going to be talking about how much of a debate lord you are, how you never miss, or how you're always right. And then when people are telling you that you're wrong, even if you are wrong, you may not be willing to listen to it because your ego's been too inflated by how much positive reinforcement you've received from your audience. Because let's be real, especially in the debate space, people do have a tendency to sort of, jokingly or not, sort of deify some debate streamers. And then sometimes do the opposite. It can be really, really stressful. Here's another one. Arguing with chat. Let's say you've got actually, here's a good way to word this final criticism. I think this is a really good final criticism of the format. There was a really good meme that I saw on Twitter the other day. You guys know that one meme where it's the kid is walking down a path and the path splits towards 2 different houses. One is a nice house on a cliff and the other is a haunted horror house, and then both of them are labeled something. This one was labeled the kid, and the kid is labeled debate streamers, debate, like live leftist debate streamers, whatever. And then the houses were both the horrific, like nightmare houses. And the split in the road had two options, both of them being bad, of course. One being getting persecuted for your base takes, getting praised for your cringe takes. Is basically the dichotomy. Because unfortunately, one day, as a leftist political streamer, or any type of political streamer, if you do this type of thing, one day you're going to have a take, okay? Maybe it'll be a correct take, maybe it won't be. Do you guys want to hear a good example of this? Do you guys remember when I said that if the US pulled out of Afghanistan, within only a few weeks, the Taliban would fully take the country and they would revoke all of women's rights to work and go to school? Do you guys remember when I made that video and got ultra fucking canceled about it? I feel no need anymore to defend my statements in that video, if I'm being honest with all of you. This meme, I feel, perfectly represents the issue that every single streamer that does this ends up encountering eventually, okay? And the reason why I use this is in reference to the Afghanistan take, okay? My take on Afghanistan was something that I knew when I was starting my stream that day and I was doing the research. I knew, oh God, these opinions and these facts are not popular with lefties. I'm going to get so canceled for being right here. I was like fucking looking at stats, looking at like polling of the citizens in Kabul and everything like that, like women and whether or not they're okay with the Taliban taking over after America leaves, and whether or not they want to remain having the right to go to school and work and own businesses and whatnot. I was literally just spot on. I knew it was going to be controversial. I knew I was going to get canceled. Then Vaush had the same opinion, and suddenly it's the right position. I will say, Sodabit, there has been more than one case where I've had an opinion publicly, got canceled for it, then Vaush had the same opinion a little while later, and then everybody agreed with him. That does happen. That kind of stuff does happen. And this is actually a good example of that. A lot of, hey, you know what? I said I wouldn't subtweet, but I will directly call things out sometimes. Some people in Vaush's community do have a tendency to do stuff like that when it comes to Vaush. It happens. It does. It does. Nobody is immune to this. Everybody is open to some form of criticism that they can improve upon. Regardless, though, Sake Tanuki. Listen, Sake Tanuki might be one of the most Xander Hall derangement syndrome having Vaush fans. It's so bizarre because like you'd think somebody who's such like a massive fan of Vaush, who donates so much money, would at least be tolerant of like some other streamer who does something similar, right? Like you'd think it'd at least be some level of tolerance, right? Zan Vaush was also hated for the Afghanistan take. He was, but I got like, guys, I don't think you realize when I put out my Afghanistan video, people in Vaush's subreddit were making mentions of me, shit-talking me. There were like multi-hundred upvoted posts in Vaush's subreddit after that video, canceling me for it. And then Vaush put out his video after a day of Vaush arguing with people on stream about it. Nobody on the subreddit pushed back against him about it, or at least nobody that was getting any substantial pushback. It is a thing that happens, okay? It is a thing that happens. The reason why I bring up the Afghanistan take as an example is because it's a take that I had that was so inarguably correct, right? I basically just said what was going to happen in the future, got canceled for it, and then what I said was going to happen just happened, right? And then, it's just, yeah, right? And before making that video, all that was going through my head was, holy fuck, I'm going to lose so many subscribers for this. I'm going to lose so many fucking subscribers. I'm going to get so many dislikes. I'm going to get so much shit. I'm going to get so much hatred and vitriol for putting out this video. And I did it anyway. And all of it happened. And to this day, there's still tons of people who still shit talk me and say I was wrong about Afghanistan. They ended up in hindsight changing my opinion. My opinion from the start was always, I really don't know whether or not leaving Afghanistan, in 2021 is going to be a good idea. Like, there's some arguments that you could make that it probably wouldn't be a good idea. Yeah, Dylan backed me up a bit. I actually came out to back up Dylan. I was not the original Afghanistan pullout could be bad guy. Dylan was. Dylan was the original motherfucker who got canceled for having that take. It wasn't until I was actually going to go on Dylan's Hippy Dippy that week. I was going to have to discuss Afghanistan. Are you and Dylan cool now? I think we were always cool, but we're definitely cool. Yeah, we hung out in Texas and stuff. He's a pretty cool dude. But Dylan got canceled for having that same take, but he was going to be having a debate host thing about it on the Hippy Dippy. And I didn't end up doing that Hippy Dippy, but I almost did. And I did all the research for this, the topic. And so not wanting to let that topic go to waste, I ended up covering the topic and using my research that I'd done for that debate for something, for like an actual video. And then obviously like the video, the video came out and then I got a ton of shit for it, ended up being right. And yet I lost thousands of subs from that video. I lost like 2,500 subs when I put that video out over the next like couple months when I dropped it. Like for a while, I was losing subs after I dropped that video. Big dislike ratio. Nowadays, if you look at it and you search by like newest and whatever, ever since, the US pulled out of Afghanistan, everyone's like, oh, wait, never mind. Zan was right. Holy shit, he predicted it. And if you go look at like Bad Empanada's video on me and you sort by newest, all of them say like, ooh, this video aged badly, because I was right. But at the time, I had every incentive in the world to just jump on board with the popular opinion of my audience that would have garnered me plenty of donations and so many soy. I could have literally just said, America bad, let's get out of Afghanistan, fuck the imperialist Republicans who want us to stay, and you guys would have soy clapped and donated and just tossed money at me, and I didn't. I didn't because I have some level of principle, and I'm not willing to like sacrifice that, for money. But it's still a temptation that exists. And I don't know how many people are willing to fight that temptation. I do know of a few people that I think are incapable of fighting it. Bad Bunny and Mike from PA are two examples of people I think literally just repeat whatever their audience wants to hear them say so that they can get the soy claps and the donos. It really does feel that way when I watch one of their streams. And it's like, it's so obvious to me as a streamer that they're like pandering to their audience like hardcore that it's like, it makes me cringe because I like know the actual thought process going through the streamer's mind, and like I just know what they're trying to do, and it's so fucking it is really degenerate. Anyway, with all of that said, I'm sure there are plenty of other criticisms I could have levied towards this type of like reaction content. I'm sure there are plenty of others. Hey, if you're watching right now and you have a criticism as well, drop it down below in the comments. But those are just the things that I came up with. I started putting that list together of things that just came to mind last night. And I was going to record that off stream last night, but I ended up doing it on stream today. Hopefully you guys don't mind that. But yeah, I think overall, I think most of these things were pretty good, good faith and pretty inarguably existing criticisms of this type of format. They don't apply to everybody. And I'm not even saying they apply to everybody. But I think for most of these things, they apply to me, at least to some degree, as far as things that I've experienced. With all that said, if you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing on YouTube to ring the bell icon because, well, YouTube doesn't tell you if I go live or upload a video, if you don't ring the bell icon and turn on all notifications. Subscribing just isn't enough to do it anymore. And if you want to support the video and the channel, please comment and like the video. It really does help, as well as the stream too. YouTube doesn't tell people that I'm live the longer the stream goes on for. But if you like the stream, then YouTube is like, oh, people like this stream. I should keep telling Xander Hall subscribers that he's live, and then the viewer count goes up, and it's super pog. So like the stream, like the video, comment down below. It helps out a lot. Follow my social media, link down below in the description as well, including my Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and of course my fan Discord, where I do watch parties of TV shows, and we play games together and stuff like that. And I just hang out and talk. It's a good place. And of course, finally, if you want to support me financially and get me inside of that Shadow the Hedgehog onesie before the end of stream, you can donate, subscribe, or gift a sub to somebody else over on my website, xanderhall.com/live, the beautiful chat you see on screen right there. You can super chat, super sticker, or become a channel member over on YouTube. You can subscribe, gift a sub, or donate in bits or Prime sub for free with Amazon Prime over on Twitch. You can donate, do a TTS donation, or even a media share donation through Streamlabs. You can buy my merch, link down below, including the brand new I Was Radicalized by Minecraft t-shirt. And you can also pledge me on Patreon. Exclusive content going up there pretty soon. With all that said, thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.